Beneath the endless sand of Sahara lies a secret, a world swallowed by dunes, erased from memory. Long before the pyramids stood as Egypt's eternal guardians, before caravans crossed the desert with salt and gold, there was life here, thriving cities, green valleys, and civilizations now buried in silence. What if I told you that the Sahara, today the largest hot desert on Earth, was once alive with rivers, lakes, and kingdoms that rivaled the greatest empires of history? This is the story of the lost civilization under the Sahara, a tale of human endurance, forgotten empires, and a land that turned against its people. If you enjoy untold stories of Africa and beyond, stories of forgotten kings, hidden cities, and battles against time itself, then please, like this video, drop your thoughts and comments, and subscribe to Whisper the Past. It means so much because it keeps these hidden voices alive. 10,000 years ago, the Sahara was not a desert. It was paradise. The land we know today as endless dunes of scorching sand was once a vast savanna, dotted with rivers and forests. Monsoons swept deep into Africa, feeding lakes so wide they rivaled modern seas. Crocodiles swam where dunes now stand. Herds of cattle graze on fertile plains. Archaeologists call it the African humid period. Nomadic hunters settled down. Fishing villages grew along riverbanks. People carved paintings of giraffes, elephants, and cattle on cave walls. Images that still survive in places like Tassili and Niger in Algeria. These were not crude sketches. They were masterpieces. Paintings of boats gliding across water, of priests wearing headdresses, of rituals that hint at gods long forgotten. The Sahara, then, was not a barrier. It was a cradle of civilization. Among these thriving communities, whispers of kingdoms emerge. Some scholars believe there were proto-cities along the Mega-Chad Basin, once the largest freshwater lake on Earth. Here, fishermen and farmers built communities, trading in salt, obsidian, and livestock. In the highlands of what is today Niger, evidence of urban centers has been uncovered. Terrace farms, stone walls, burial sites with jewelry and metal tools. This suggests hierarchy, wealth, and organized religion. But the most mysterious of all, legends of a city under the desert, lost beneath dunes, where great kings once ruled. Some call it Zazura, the white city of the sands. Others speak of ancient ancestors who walked the Sahara before it was barren. But paradise has an end. Around 5,000 years ago, the rains faltered. Slowly, the green Sahara began to wither. Rivers shrank. Lakes dried, sand crept forward, swallowing fields and villages. Imagine a world where every year the horizon grows more hostile, where children grow up watching lakes vanish, where temples once reflected in water now stand in dust. For the people of the Sahara, this was not just climate change, it was the end of everything they knew. Some migrated south toward the forests of West Africa. Others followed the Nile into Egypt. Still others vanished into legend, but traces remain. Stone ruins, petroglyphs of ships where no water flows, burial mounds rising from sand. The Sahara was sealing their story. The desert did not arrive in a single night. It crept forward, silently, ruthlessly, like an invisible army. At first, the people adapted. They dug deeper wells. They shifted farms to shrinking rivers. They stored grain in clay silos. Priests prayed to the sky gods, offering cattle and fire, begging the heavens for rain. But the heavens grew silent. Every year, less rain. Every year, more sand. The Sahara, once the mother of abundance, had turned traitor. Villages fractured. Families abandoned ancestral homes. Some turned to war, raiding their neighbors for cattle, food, or land. Survival demanded it. And in this chaos, myths were born. Legends tell of a great migration. Entire clans marched with their herds toward greener lands. Some found refuge along the Nile. Others drifted west, founding the seeds of future kingdoms like Ghana and Mali. But some refused to leave. They built walls of stone. They carved canals. They fought against the desert itself. Among explorers and desert nomads, one name echoes like a ghost: Zerzura. For centuries, Tuareg and Bedouin traders spoke of it, a city of white walls, hidden deep in the Sahara, a city where rivers still flowed, guarded by silent kings. In medieval maps, Zerzura appears, sometimes marked with a small crown, other times with a cross. Arab chroniclers described it as a land of fountains, guarded by black giants, where treasure lies. But was Zerzura myth or memory? Archaeologists today uncover ruins beneath dunes, stone houses, ancient wells, pottery, even rock carvings of boats in regions where not a drop of water remains. It suggests that once, cities like Zerzura may not have been legend at all. They were real, and the sand swallowed them whole. For the people of Sahara, survival became war. Not a war of kings and soldiers, but a war of endurance, a war against heat, thirst, and famine. Imagine standing on the walls of such a city. The horizon no longer filled with enemies, but with waves of sand advancing every season. Farmers became warriors. Engineers became prophets. Every drop of water was a weapon. Archaeological evidence shows massive stone-lined wells dug deeper than ever before. Channels and dams attempted to trap the last trickle of rivers. Walls rose, not just against raiders, but against the desert winds. But no wall could stop the Sahara. The desert always wins. By 3000 BCE, much of the Sahara was barren. The lush savannas had withered into dunes. Lakes like Megachad shrank to a fraction of their size. Entire ecosystems vanished. The survivors had no choice but to leave. Some merged into the Nile Valley, fueling the rise of ancient Egypt. Others drifted south, carrying cattle-herding traditions into West Africa. Their languages, their gods, their technology spread far and wide, fragments of civilizations carried by refugees. And yet, deep in the Sahara, ruins remained. Cemeteries where desert sands had preserved bodies for millennia. Pottery shards still buried beneath dunes. Cave art that outlived empires. The desert destroyed their homes, but it could not silence their story. But history does not forget so easily. Even today, nomads speak of hidden oases, places where forgotten kings lie buried in golden tombs. Some stories claim that great ships still rest beneath the sands, stranded when the rivers vanished. European explorers of the 19th century chased these myths. They ventured into the Sahara with camels and maps, seeking Zerzura, seeking treasure, seeking proof that once the desert had been alive. Some never returned. Those who did often told the same story. Ruins in the sand, walls half buried, ancient roads leading nowhere. The Sahara, it seemed, was a graveyard. But graveyards, too, hold memory. The desert did not fight with swords. It fought with silence. Sandstorms struck like armies, waves of dust blotting out the sun, choking cattle and men alike. Heat beat down like fire. Wells dried. The earth cracked. To live in the dying Sahara was to live in constant siege. Families fortified their villages, but the desert slipped over walls and through gates. Every storm carried dunes that swallowed fields. Every dry season stripped more life from the soil. The desert is not conquered, one ancient proverb warns. The desert waits. And so, the battle raged, not in a single clash, but in generations of attrition. Archaeological digs at sites like Garamandes in present-day Libya revealed what might have been one of these final strongholds. The Garamandes built irrigation channels miles long, tapping underground aquifers. They carved cities from stone, trading with Carthage, Rome, and Egypt. They adapted, they resisted, they survived in defiance of sands. But even they could not last. By the 1st century CE, their empire declined. The aquifers dried. The cities emptied. The desert had claimed another victim. It was as though the Sahara was erasing not just homes, but the memory of its own civilizations. In medieval chronicles, Arab travelers described a lost city of the desert, Zerzura. It was said to be a city of shining white walls, guarded by black giants, filled with treasure and fountains. The name whispered across caravans, across centuries. In the 1930s, British explorers like Ralph Bagnall and Laszlo Almasy, yes, the same Almasy who inspired the English Patient, scoured the Sahara searching for Zerzura. They found caves filled with prehistoric art, hunters with bows, cattle herders, even boats. They found ruins of settlements long abandoned. They proved the Sahara had once been green, But Zerzura itself? Still a ghost, perhaps buried under dunes, perhaps only a memory of the city's swallowed whole. To dramatize it, imagine Sahara as an empire with its own army. Sandstorms, choking clouds that blinded caravans and suffocated crops. Drought, rivers strangled, lakes shrinking into dust. Famine, cattle dying, fields barren. Isolation, trade routes severed, cities cut off, starving behind their walls. Against this army, the people fought back with wells, dams, migration, but every defense eventually crumbled. In the end, the Sahara won every battle. But the desert, for all its cruelty, is also a preserver. In 2000, archaeologists in Niger uncovered the Gabbero site, a cemetery dating back 9,000 years, preserved beneath sand. Skeletons lay undisturbed, some still holding hands. Pottery, jewelry, tools, frozen in time. In the caves of Tassili and Niger, explorers discovered art so vivid it stunned the world. Hunters, shamans, animals now extinct in the region. Images of water rituals, suggesting gods of rivers and rain. Satellite imaging has revealed ancient riverbeds beneath the desert, invisible to the eye, but etched in the earth. They hint at entire networks of settlements, waiting for discovery. The Sahara hides its secrets well, but it cannot hide them forever. So what remains of these forgotten civilizations? Not cities of marble, like Rome, not towering ziggurats, like Mesopotamia. Instead, their legacy lies in whispers, in the languages carried south and east, influencing future empires, in the art that shaped Africa's spiritual imagination, in the stories of hidden oases, still told by Tuareg guides, in the bones of the dead, still buried beneath shifting dunes. The Sahara did not erase them completely. It only silenced them. And silence, too, speaks. The collapse of these desert civilizations rippled through African history. As the Sahara grew harsher, people migrated southward toward the Sahel and the great rivers like the Niger and the Senegal. It was there that new empires rose. Ghana, Mali, Songhai. They inherited not just a land, but fragments of lost knowledge, techniques of irrigation, trade networks that once crossed the green Sahara, and myths of cities swallowed by sand. It is no coincidence that Timbuktu, the legendary city of scholars, grew at the desert's edge. Civilizations do not vanish without leaving footprints. And today, the Sahara still shifts. Villages on its southern edge feel the same creeping advance of sand that swallowed their ancestors' homes. Scientists warn of desertification, the same slow siege, repeating history. But now, we can see what the ancients could not. We can track the desert with satellites. We can uncover its buried rivers with radar. We can even regreen the land with modern agriculture projects. The Sahara, once only an enemy, may yet be understood. But here is the truth. No matter how much science we use, the Sahara will always hold mystery. Beneath the dunes still lie cities we have not found, cemeteries untouched, pottery unbroken, entire histories waiting to be rediscovered. Every grain of sand is a page, every dune a library, and the book is far from finished. Empires rise with fire. They fall in silence. But the sands remember. The Sahara buried civilizations, but it also preserved them, waiting for us to listen. Perhaps one day, explorers will uncover Zerzura. Perhaps they will find another Gabbero, another forgotten kingdom. Until then, the desert whispers. And if you stand on the edge of the dunes, in the silence after the wind dies, you may feel it too, the heartbeat of a lost world, still alive beneath the sand. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching, you're a part of this journey. I tell untold stories from Africa and beyond, and your support keeps these voices alive. So if you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and most importantly, subscribe so you don't miss the next journey into forgotten corners of history. Because history isn't just about the past. It's about how the past still shapes us today.